Captain Jack Harris stood at the command deck of the Earth vessel Dauntless, his eyes fixed on the massive space station that housed the Galactic Council. After decades of searching the stars for intelligent life, humanity had finally made contact. Now, as the representative of Earth, he felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. "Nervous, Captain?" asked Olivia Martinez, the ship's cultural advisor. Her calm voice broke through his thoughts. "Not nervous. Cautious," Harris replied, straightening his uniform. "We don't know much about these species or how they'll receive us." The Dauntless approached the docking bay, guided by strange blue tractor beams. Harris had commanded military vessels for 15 years, but nothing prepared him for this moment. First contact with not just one alien species, but 12, all members of what they call the Galactic Council. "Final approach," announced Lieutenant Sam Carter from the navigation console. "Their technology is incredible. Those engines must be at least 2 centuries ahead of ours." Harris nodded. "Remember the mission. We're here to establish friendly relations and learn. Earth needs allies in this galaxy." The docking procedure completed with a soft thud. Harris, Martinez, and 3 other crew members prepared at the airlock. Each wore their best uniforms, representing the United Earth government. "Remember, speak clearly, maintain eye contact with the primary speaker, and follow my lead on formal greetings," Martinez instructed. Different species have different customs. When the airlock opened, Harris had his first in-person view of alien life. The delegation waiting for them consisted of 5 different species, some tall and slender with blue skin, others short with multiple arms, and one that appeared to be made of crystalline structures. "Welcome, humans," said the tallest figure. "I am High Counselor Xarvin. We have observed your world for some time." Harris stepped forward. "On behalf of Earth, we thank you for this welcome. We come with peaceful intentions and hope to establish friendly relations." The council representatives led them through vast corridors filled with beings from across the galaxy. Harris noted how the aliens looked at them, with curiosity, but also something else. Was it amusement? The main council chamber was enormous, with delegates from all 12 species seated in elevated positions. Harris presented Earth's formal request for diplomatic relations, explaining humanity's history, achievements, and hopes for the future. When he mentioned Earth's defense systems, something changed in the room. A ripple of what sounded like laughter moved through the delegates. "You still use projectile weapons?" asked a reptilian counselor. "Physical bullets and explosives?" Harris nodded. "Our military uses advanced railguns, ballistic missiles, and conventional firearms." "Yes." More laughter followed. The crystalline being spoke next. "How quaint. Most species abandon such primitive tools within a century of achieving space travel." Martinez whispered to Harris. "They're looking down on us. This isn't good." Harris continued, trying to maintain his dignity. "Our weapons are highly effective for our defense needs." "Metal throwers," said another counselor, not bothering to hide his amusement. "They shoot pieces of metal at their enemies." The entire chamber erupted in what could only be described as mockery. Harris felt his face grow hot, but maintained his composure. "Perhaps the humans could benefit from our guidance," said High Counselor Xarvin, silencing the laughter. "They are young, after all." After the presentation, the Earth delegation was escorted to their quarters. Once alone, Harris let his frustration show. "They treated us like children," he said, pacing the room. "Like we're primitives who just discovered fire." Martinez nodded. "It's a classic colonial mindset. They see themselves as advanced and us as underdeveloped. But I noticed something interesting. They seem completely focused on energy weapons. Not one mention of physical projectiles in their security." Harris stopped pacing. "You think that means something?" "I think," Martinez said carefully, "that being underestimated isn't always a disadvantage. They're all so convinced their way is superior that they've stopped considering alternatives." Harris looked out the viewport at the vast alien station. Then maybe our primitive guns aren't so useless after all. Lieutenant Sam Carter moved quietly through the Council Station's public archives, his eyes scanning the holographic displays. 3 days into their visit, and he had been assigned to gather intelligence on Council politics. What he found was troubling. The Council isn't as united as they want us to believe, Carter reported later in the secure conference room aboard the Dauntless. He pulled up his notes on a tablet. There are 12 species, but they're divided into factions. The dominant one is led by the Vordax. Harris leaned forward. The reptilian ones. They seemed particularly amused by our weapons. Yes, sir. The Vordax have the largest military fleet in the Council. They're pushing for expansion into what they call undeveloped regions, which includes our part of the galaxy. Martinez frowned. Classic empire building. And the other factions. Several peaceful species oppose Vordax aggression, but lack military power to stand against them. They're being slowly pushed out of Council decisions. Harris nodded slowly. We need to learn more. Martinez, arrange a private meeting with any Council member willing to speak candidly. 2 days later, Harris and Martinez sat across from Ambassador Zekthar, a tall, slender alien with 4 arms and iridescent skin. They met in a quiet chamber away from the main Council areas. I appreciate your willingness to speak with us, Harris said. Zekthar's large eyes blinked slowly. Few Council members will tell you the truth, Captain. The Vordax have dominated Council politics for 3 centuries. They consider Earth to be in their sphere of influence, territory they plan to supervise. You mean conquer, Martinez said bluntly. They prefer terms like guide or protect. But yes, essentially. The ambassador's voice lowered. The Vordax believe their technology makes them superior. Their entire military uses energy-based weapons and defenses. Harris leaned forward. Tell me about these energy weapons. Plasma cannons, laser arrays, ion disruptors. Their ships and soldiers are protected by energy shields that disperse incoming energy attacks. Zekthar paused. Physical weapons were abandoned millennia ago by most species. Why? Harris asked. Energy weapons are considered more civilized, clean, precise. No messy explosions or bullet holes. The Council security forces use only stun beams and energy restraints. Harris exchanged glances with Martinez. And what happens when a species doesn't follow these civilized practices? They are denied advanced technology until they mature enough to use it responsibly. Zekthar's face showed what might have been a smile. The Council has protocols for developing species. After Zekthar left, Harris paced the room. They think we're children who can't be trusted with advanced toys. Martinez nodded. But I noticed something important. Zekthar never mentioned defense against physical weapons. Their shields are designed to disperse energy. Harris stopped pacing. You think our primitive weapons might actually work against their shields? It's possible. They've been so focused on advancing energy weapon technology that they might have overlooked basic physical defense. When was the last time any Council species faced bullets or missiles? Harris activated his communication device. Engineer Wright, Science Officer Jones, secure channel please. After the connection was established, he continued, I need you to run some theoretical models. How would our ballistic weapons perform against energy shields designed to deflect plasma and laser attacks? Wright's voice came through clearly. We've actually been discussing this, sir. If their shields work how we think they do, they might not stop physical objects at all. Jones added, they might be so accustomed to energy weapons that physical projectiles aren't even considered in their defense systems. Harris felt a slow smile spread across his face. Then we might have an advantage they don't expect. Let's keep this quiet for now. And Wright, I want you to start thinking about how we might modify our weapons for maximum effectiveness. The Council laughed at our guns, Martinez said thoughtfully. They might not be laughing for long. The tension aboard the Dauntless grew as the diplomatic mission entered its 2nd week. Lieutenant Carter had intercepted communications between Vordax vessels that suggested they were increasing patrols near Earth's solar system. "They're testing our borders," Harris said during the morning briefing. 3 Vordax warships have moved within scanning range of Neptune. Martinez frowned. This matches their historical pattern. They probe for weaknesses before making demands of new species. Harris turned to his communications officer. "Any response from the Council regarding our request for defensive technology?" "Yes, sir. They've denied our request." The official response cites developmental protocols and states that Earth isn't ready for advanced defense systems. Harris slammed his fist on the table. "Not ready. They're moving warships into our system while denying us the means to protect ourselves." Down in the engineering bay, Amelia Wright worked quietly with a small team. The captain's orders had been clear: modify Earth's conventional weapons to maximize effectiveness against potential Vordax threats. The work had to remain secret from their council hosts. "How's progress on the railgun modifications?" Wright asked one of her technicians. "Good. We've increased muzzle velocity by 30%. At these speeds, even a small projectile carries enough kinetic energy to punch through most materials." Wright nodded. "And the missile guidance systems, updated to resist electronic countermeasures. If their defense systems work as we suspect, our missiles will seem primitive until they hit their targets." Meanwhile, Chief Science Officer Daniel Jones studied the data they had gathered on Vordax shield technology. His lab contained samples of materials collected from around the station. Nothing classified, just items that would not be missed. "Fascinating," he muttered as he fired a miniature projectile at an energy field he had created. The tiny metal slug passed straight through the shield and embedded itself in the wall behind it. Jones immediately contacted Harris. "Captain, I've confirmed our theory. Their energy shields are designed to disperse energy-based attacks, but physical objects pass through with minimal resistance. It's as if they never considered defending against bullets or missiles." Harris received the news with grim satisfaction. "Good work. Keep this information secure. Have Wright integrate your findings into her modifications." Later that day, the Earth delegation attended another council session. The Vordax ambassador, a tall reptilian named Krax, addressed the chamber. "We have noted unusual activity in Sector 7, which includes the human home system," Krax announced. "As the designated protectors of this sector, we will be increasing our presence to ensure stability." Harris stood, protocol forgotten. "Earth has not requested Vordax protection. Your warships near our planets are an unwelcome presence." Krax's scaled face showed no emotion. "The Council has determined that developing worlds require guidance. The Vordax provide this service." "Is that what you call it?" Harris asked. "Because from where I stand, it looks like intimidation." Murmurs spread through the council chamber. The Vordax representative's eyes narrowed. "Humans are new to galactic politics. You would be wise to accept our wisdom." After the session, Harris received an encrypted message from Earth Command. The transmission was brief. "Vordax vessel has destroyed unmanned research platform near Jupiter, claiming it was weapons platform that threatened their ships. Requesting instructions." Harris gathered his senior staff immediately. "They're creating a pretext for action against Earth. This is a classic first move in their playbook, according to Ambassador Zekthar." "What are your orders, sir?" asked Carter. "Contact Earth Command. All ships to go to alert status, but no provocative actions. Martinez, find out which council members might sympathize with our position." Wright spoke up. "Sir, our weapons modifications are ready for deployment. We've adapted the railguns and missile systems on the Dauntless. If we're attacked, we can defend ourselves." Harris nodded. "Let's hope it doesn't come to that. But if the Vordax want to demonstrate their superiority, they might discover that humans aren't as primitive as they think." That night, as the Dauntless orbited the council station, a new message arrived. 3 Vordax warships on direct course to intercept Dauntless. Claiming routine inspection rights. Recommend caution. The trap was being set. The alarm klaxons on the Dauntless blared as Lieutenant Carter's voice came over the ship-wide system. 3 Vordax warships approaching at high speed. They're not responding to hails. Captain Harris rushed to the bridge, officers moving quickly to their stations around him. On the main view screen, 3 sleek, predatory vessels with distinctive reptilian designs closed in on the Dauntless. Shields up. Weapons on standby, Harris ordered. But do not fire unless I give the command. Sir, we're being hailed by the Council station, the communications officer reported. On screen, High Counselor Xarvin appeared, looking concerned. Captain Harris, we have been informed that the Vordax are conducting a routine security inspection of all vessels in Council space. Please comply with their procedures. 3 warships for a routine inspection, Harris questioned. This is clearly intimidation. Before Xarvin could respond, the lead Vordax ship fired a warning shot across the Dauntless's bow, a bright beam of energy that flashed dangerously close. Captain, they're demanding we power down all systems for boarding, the communications officer reported. Harris's expression hardened. Tell them the Dauntless is a sovereign vessel of Earth and will not submit to unauthorized boarding. The response came quickly. All 3 Vordax ships opened fire, energy weapons striking the Dauntless's shields. The ship shuddered under the impact. Shields holding at 82%, Carter reported. But they won't last long against that firepower. Harris stood, his decision made. This is no inspection. It's an ambush. Target the lead vessel with modified railguns. Fire when ready. On the weapons deck, Engineer Wright personally oversaw the firing sequence. The railguns, electromagnetic launchers that accelerated metal projectiles to incredible speeds, had been modified to generate even greater velocities. Target locked, the weapons officer announced. Firing. The Dauntless shuddered as the railguns discharged, sending 3 tungsten projectiles hurtling toward the lead Vordax ship. On the view screen, the crew watched as the projectiles struck the Vordax vessel. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then explosions bloomed across the alien ship's hull. Direct hits, Carter exclaimed. Their shields didn't stop our projectiles. On the Council station, representatives gathered around viewing screens, watching in disbelief as the primitive human vessel successfully damaged a Vordax warship. Impossible, a Vordax counselor hissed. Their weapons are too primitive to breach our shields. Ambassador Zekthar turned to a colleague. Perhaps we have underestimated these humans. Back on the Dauntless, the Vordax ships regrouped, intensifying their energy weapon barrage. The ship rocked violently. Shields at 41%, Carter reported. They're concentrating fire on our port side. Launch missile spread, pattern Delta, Harris commanded. Target their weapons arrays. The Dauntless launched a volley of missiles, physical projectiles with explosive warheads, technology the Vordax had dismissed as obsolete. The missiles streaked toward the enemy vessels. On the Vordax ships, alarms blared as their sensors detected the incoming objects. Their defense systems, designed to counter energy weapons, struggled to respond to the physical threat. Defensive energy beams lashed out, destroying some missiles, but others slipped through. Explosions ripped across the second Vordax ship as missiles struck its weapons arrays. The third vessel took hits to its propulsion system, sending it spinning off course. Sir, the lead Vordax ship is targeting our engines, Carter warned. Evasive maneuvers, Harris ordered. Bring us around and fire all remaining railguns. The Dauntless turned gracefully, evading the worst of the enemy fire. Its railguns fired again, the hypersonic projectiles tearing through the lead Vordax ship's command center. The effect was devastating. The Vordax vessel's lights flickered and died as systems failed throughout the ship. The lead ship is disabled, Carter reported. The other damaged vessel is retreating. The third is adrift. In the Council observation room, stunned silence gave way to urgent discussion. Representatives from a dozen species watched as the supposedly primitive human vessel had defeated 3 advanced Vordax warships. They penetrated the shields as if they weren't even there. One counselor whispered. High Counselor Sargon's expression was unreadable. It seems we have much to learn about human warfare. On the Dauntless, Harris surveyed the aftermath on the view screen. Send to Earth Command. Ambush defeated. Vordax underestimated us, just as we predicted. Request immediate diplomatic support. Martinez stepped beside him. The Council won't be laughing at our guns anymore. The emergency council session convened 6 hours after the battle. The circular chamber buzzed with nervous energy as representatives from all 12 species argued among themselves. Captain Harris and Olivia Martinez stood at the center of the chamber, facing the scrutiny of the entire Galactic Council. High Counselor Xarvin called for order, his voice booming across the chamber. This unprecedented situation requires immediate attention. The human vessel Dauntless has disabled 2 Vordax warships and forced a third to retreat. The Vordax representative, Krax, rose from his seat. His scaled face showed barely controlled rage. The humans fired upon peaceful inspection vessels. This is an act of war against the Vordax Imperium. Harris stepped forward. Your peaceful inspection involved 3 warships firing upon my vessel without provocation. We have the battle recordings to prove it. Martinez activated a holographic display showing the Vordax vessels firing first. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Even if provoked, Krax continued, the humans used banned physical weapons, primitive, barbaric tools that cause unnecessary destruction. A small blue-skinned counselor spoke up. I was unaware that projectile weapons were formally banned by council law. They are not, confirmed Xarvin reluctantly, though they have been considered obsolete and uncivilized for millennia. Harris addressed the council directly. When we arrived, you mocked our weapons as primitive. Now you call them banned and dangerous. Which is it? The chamber fell silent. Ambassador Zekthar rose next. Perhaps what disturbs the Vordax is not that the humans used primitive weapons, but that those weapons were effective against advanced shields designed to stop energy attacks. Several counselors nodded in agreement. Martine seized the diplomatic opening. Earth does not seek conflict. We defended ourselves using the tools available to us. If physical weapons present a problem, we are open to discussions about limitations and protocols. A reptilian counselor from a species allied with the Vordax spoke next. The real issue is that humans have demonstrated a dangerous capability. Their weapons bypass our primary defense systems. This makes them a threat to galactic stability. Or, countered a crystalline being from the chamber's upper tier, it reveals a critical vulnerability in defenses we have all taken for granted. Perhaps the humans have inadvertently done us a service. The debate raged for hours. Martines moved skillfully through the diplomatic minefield, addressing concerns while standing firm on Earth's right to self-defense. Harris noticed that several of the smaller council species seemed almost relieved by the Vordax setback. During a brief recess, Ambassador Zekthar approached the humans privately. You have changed the balance of power today. The Vordax have bullied smaller species for centuries, secure in their technological superiority. Now they face a species with weapons their shields cannot stop. We never wanted to demonstrate our capabilities this way, Harris replied. Nevertheless, you have gained both enemies and allies today. The peaceful species see potential protection in your unique capabilities. When the session resumed, Krax made the Vordax position clear. We demand the humans surrender all projectile weapon technology to Council custody. Their primitive tools are too dangerous to remain in their control. Harris stepped forward, his voice firm. Earth will not surrender its means of self-defense. However, we offer an alternative. Earth is willing to form defensive partnerships with any Council species that feels threatened. We seek friends, not subjects. The chamber erupted in discussion. Several representatives of smaller species looked at Harris with new interest. High Counselor Xarvin finally called for order. This matter requires further deliberation. The human demonstration of unexpected capabilities has raised important questions about our defensive technologies and Council security practices. As the session ended, Martinez whispered to Harris, "The Council is split. The Vordax and their allies want our weapons neutralized. But the species who've suffered under Vordax dominance see us as potential protectors." Harris nodded. "Then we've accomplished something important today. We've shown the galaxy that humanity won't be easily dismissed, and that old technology sometimes solves new problems." Martinez added with a slight smile. "Weapons demonstration to commence in 30 minutes, announced the Council Facility Director. All observers must remain behind the safety barriers." 3 days after the confrontation with the Vordax ships, the Galactic Council had requested a formal demonstration of human weapons technology. The display area had been prepared in an isolated section of the Council station, with representatives from all 12 species in attendance. Engineer Amelia Wright surveyed the testing range, making final adjustments to the equipment they had brought from the Dauntless. Beside her, Science Officer Daniel Jones checked the sensor arrays that would record the effects of each weapon. "Nervous?" Jones asked, noticing Wright's focused expression. "Determined," she replied. "Today we show them exactly what primitive means." Captain Harris and Olivia Martinez stood at the observation platform, surrounded by Council representatives. The Vordax delegation had positioned themselves as far from the humans as possible, their scaled faces set in expressions of disdain. "High Counselor," Sarvin addressed the gathering. "This demonstration was requested to better understand human defense capabilities and assess their compatibility with Council security protocols." Harris stepped forward. "We appreciate this opportunity to clear up misunderstandings about Earth technology. Engineer Wright will guide you through the demonstration." Wright took center stage, her voice clear and confident. "We'll begin with standard firearms, then progress to more advanced systems." She lifted a pistol, explaining its basic function. "This handgun fires metal projectiles using a controlled chemical explosion. Simple, reliable, and requires no power source." Wright fired at a target, the sound making several Council members flinch. The bullet tore through the target material, the same substance used in Vordax ship hulls. "Next, our military rifles," Wright continued, demonstrating an automatic weapon. "Higher velocity, greater range, larger capacity." The rifle fire echoed through the chamber. Council scientists leaned forward, recording data and whispering among themselves. "Moving to heavy weapons," Wright announced. Jones wheeled out a modified railgun, smaller than those on the Dauntless, but operating on the same principles. This electromagnetic launcher accelerates projectiles to hypersonic speeds using magnetic fields rather than chemical propulsion. When the railgun fired, the projectile not only penetrated the target but continued through several layers of backstop material. Several Council members gasped. "Most energy shields are designed to disperse attacks by spreading energy across the shield surface," explained Jones. "But physical objects carry kinetic energy in a concentrated form. The shield tries to disperse energy that's already focused at a single point." Wright nodded. "It's like trying to stop a needle with a net. The energy may be less than a laser blast, but it's all focused on a tiny area." The demonstration continued with various projectile weapons, each showing similar effectiveness against materials used in Council defensive systems. Finally, Wright said, "Our missile technology. These combine physical impact with explosive effect." A small demonstration missile launched toward a target protected by an energy shield. The missile passed through the shield and detonated, destroying the target completely. The chamber fell silent. Then a blue-skinned counselor spoke up. "How have we overlooked this vulnerability for so long?" "Specialization," Jones answered. "Your civilizations focused on advancing energy weapons to such a degree that physical weapons became forgotten technology. It's not that our weapons are better. They're just different, exploiting a blind spot in your defenses." As the demonstration concluded, representatives from 5 species approached Harris and Martinez. "Captain," said a small avian counselor, My world has suffered Vordax harassment for generations. We would be interested in discussing the defensive partnership you mentioned." Similar requests came from 4 other species, all smaller powers within the Council. The Vordax delegation watched with growing anger. Krax approached Harris, towering over the human captain. "You have not made friends today, human. You have only proven yourselves too dangerous to be allowed free use of such barbaric weapons." "We did not ask for this demonstration," Harris responded calmly. "You forced our hand when you attacked our ship." "This is not finished," Krax hissed before storming out with his delegation. Martinez watched them leave. "They're planning something." Harris nodded. "But they're not laughing anymore. And we're not alone now." 6 months after the confrontation with the Vordax ships, the Council chamber looked very different. 5 new flags hung alongside the original 12, representing the newly formed Physical Defense Coalition. At the center of the coalition's emblem sat a stylized Earth, surrounded by the symbols of 5 former Council species who had allied with humanity. Admiral Jack Harris, recently promoted from captain, stood at the podium addressing the expanded Council. The formal uniform of Earth's Space Force gleamed under the chamber lights, now decorated with new coalition insignia. "The Physical Defense Coalition reports that border incidents have decreased by 68% since our joint patrols began," Harris announced. "The Vordax have withdrawn their forward operating bases from 3 disputed systems." Across the chamber, the Vordax delegation sat in stony silence. Their influence within the Council had diminished significantly since multiple species had aligned with Earth. "Our coalition seeks neither expansion nor conflict," Harris continued. "We simply ensure that all species, regardless of size or technology level, can develop without intimidation." After the session, Harris met with Olivia Martinez, now Earth's official ambassador to the Galactic Council. Her diplomatic skills had proven crucial in forming the coalition. "The technology exchange program is exceeding expectations," Martinez reported as they walked through the station gardens. "Our allies provide energy technology, and we help strengthen their defenses against physical attacks." Harris nodded. "Wright tells me the hybrid weapons systems are showing promise. Combining our ballistic technology with their energy-focusing techniques has created something entirely new." In the Dauntless Engineering Bay, now expanded into a coalition research facility, Amelia Wright supervised teams of human and alien engineers. They worked on a prototype weapon that used magnetic acceleration to fire energy-wrapped projectiles, capable of penetrating both physical and energy barriers. The Vordax never imagined their shields could be defeated by technology they considered obsolete. Wright explained to visiting coalition scientists, "They became vulnerable precisely because they believed themselves invulnerable." At the coalition headquarters, Science Officer Jones led the Defense Planning Division. His walls displayed schematics of ships from all 6 member species, each being upgraded with complementary defense systems. "The beauty of our alliance," Jones told his multi-species staff, "is that we each maintain different technological paths. Together, we have fewer blind spots." 2 weeks later, the full Galactic Council convened for a historic session. High Counselor Xarvin addressed the assembly. "Today marks a significant evolution in council structure," Xarvin announced. "After careful deliberation, Earth has been granted full membership status as an emerging power." The vote had not been unanimous. The Vordax and their closest allies had opposed it, but they had been outnumbered. The smaller species, emboldened by Earth's protection, had finally exercised their collective voting power. Furthermore, continued Xarvin, the Council formally recognizes the Physical Defense Coalition as a legitimate security arrangement within Council space. Harris and Martinez exchanged glances. This recognition was something few had thought possible 6 months earlier. After the session, Ambassador Zakthar approached them. "You have accomplished the impossible," the tall alien said. "You've created balance where the Vordax had established dominance." "We simply offered partnership instead of submission," Martinez replied. and reminded the galaxy that sometimes old solutions solve new problems, added Harris. That evening, a ceremony was held to officially welcome Earth to the Council. In the Grand Hall, display cases showed technological achievements from all member species. A new addition had been placed in a prominent position, a simple human pistol alongside a captured Vordax energy weapon, both under soft lighting. A plaque beneath them read, "Progress comes not just from discarding the old, but from understanding when tradition holds wisdom. The Council learns and evolves." Harris stood before the display, reflecting on how quickly things had changed. 6 months ago, the Council had laughed at human guns. Now those same weapons had reshaped galactic politics and created new possibilities for cooperation. "They're not laughing anymore," Martine said, joining him at the display. "No," Harris agreed. "They're listening. And that's all we really wanted."